Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing good out there, and thanks for tuning in. And I much appreciated you checking out another edition of Intuitive Angling, where you're either going to learn something, or you're going to get mad about something I say, or you're going to wonder about something. So regardless, appreciate the fans and the haters both tuning in tonight. Today what we're going to talk about is braided fishing line and the situations and with the lures and the techniques that you do not want to use them in. Because they're going to cost you strikes and they're going to cost you fish by using it. So we're going to go over that. And just real quick, guys, just want to remind everybody, if you hadn't had a chance to subscribe to the channel, man, if you like what's going on here, that's the best way you can help out and support it, is just hit that subscribe button. We got some big giveaways coming up at the end of the month for all the subscribers. Bridgeford beef jerky, Seaguar fishing line, solar bat sunglasses. And as soon as we hit the next milestone of 60,000 subscribers, we're going to have another big giveaway. So much appreciated there. Okay, guys, let's talk a little about braided fluorocarbon. You guys have heard me talk about, not braided fluorocarbon, but straight braid. You guys have heard me talk about braided fluorocarbon. I don't like it. I don't use it. I think it's unnecessary. I think it's overhyped. I think it's a fad, basically. And we've had past videos on that, but specifically what I want to talk about today is straight braid and when you do not want to use it ever. And then I'll talk a little bit about when you do want to use it. First of all, first lure category is crankbaits. You never ever want to use braided line on a crankbait, because with a crankbait, you need stretch. The stretch is really critical to get that hook into the fish, allow them a little bit of time to inhale that bait. And also braided line, it is way too sensitive when you're coming across either wood or rock. It's like you got too much feel on there. A lot of times you need that little bit of stretch that like the fluorocarbon line or the monofilament line has, in order for you to get over that wood or the rock without getting hung up. You're going to get hung up a ton if you try using a crankbait on any type of heavy cover. It's a terrible thing to use, so don't ever use it on a crankbait. Second thing, guys, is never use it on your jerk baits. Straight braided line is not designed for jerk baits. It's a terrible choice. I've seen several guys do this, especially if they're fishing on grass. But one of the big keys with a jerk bait is, in order to get the right action on a jerk bait, you've got to have a combination of a little stretch in your line and the slack in the line. And when you have braided line on a jerk bait and you're jerking it, there's no slack whatsoever. There's no stretch. And you simply not only overwork the bait, you can't get the bait to have the same type of action. The line is extremely visible to the bass, and same with the crankbait. And you're going to lose a lot of the fish that you do hook on it. If you do hook one on it, which you're probably not going to hook many on it, you're going to lose them on there because you don't have the stretch. So crankbait, jerk baits, you do not want to use. Next category is swim baits. Swim baits, I don't care if you're using a little 2.5-inch swim bait, or if you're using, a big 10-inch mag draft like this here, you do not want to use braided line on there. Same sort of deal there. The thing about the swim baits, guys, is the swim baits, bass are really targeted and focused on the swim bait itself. And if you've got that braided line coming in ahead of it, that's very visible to the fish. You going inside? Hey, you gonna say hi to everybody real quick?
Hi, everybody.
Just picked up Elijah at daycare. He's getting ready to watch some cartoons. So you don't want to use the braid to the swim baits, because not only the visibility, normally the swim baits are being used in a little bit clearer water, but again, you need that little bit of hesitation, a little bit of stretch, and the monofilament or the fluorocarbon just gives you better action on a swim bait, regardless of the size. Next thing is chatterbait and spinnerbait. There's some guys that use spinnerbait and chatterbait with braided line. Again, I don't like it, because you got too much, it's too sensitive again, and then again you lack the stretch. When you're using braided line on spinnerbait or chatterbait, you tend to pull the lure away from the fish, and that's one of the biggest ways people lose fish on spinnerbaits and chatterbaits, is when they get a strike, they act like they're a live nerve ending and they set the hook immediately. If you ever watch a lot of the great chatterbait anglers like Brett Hite, watch him when he gets a bite on a chatterbait. He just like pulls into it. It's almost like he feels the strike and then he leans into it. It's none of this, just real quick jerk like that. So the braided line is going to give you too much sensitivity. You're going to pull it away from the fish. And again, you got that element of the fish being able to see the bait. And finally, don't ever use a straight braided line if you're casting jigs, Texas rig worms, wacky rigs, shaky heads, drop shots, that type of stuff. If the water is fairly clear and you don't have very much cover in there. If you're just fan casting around with a shaky head or something, or you're fan casting around with a Texas rig, or you're working a Texas rig, in a brush pile or something, never use the braided line, because again, the braided line is going to cost you strikes because of the visibility of it. The only times I use straight braid, it's pretty simple, guys. I use straight braid if I'm pitching or flipping matted cover with a Texas rig or a jig. I'll use straight braid if I'm flipping a Texas rig or a creature bait or a jig in extremely gnarly cover that's got stain to it. Say, for example, if I'm flipping a gnarly mesquite bush that has this much visibility and the mesquite bush is in 6 or 7 foot of water, then I might use braided line simply because I need that power to get that fish out. Other time I use braided line is for all my frog fishing. You can get away with braided line with frog fishing because the line is above the water, and you need that power that comes, a lot of times with fishing a frog over vegetation. And then sometimes I will use braided line on a buzz bait at times. If I'm fishing like a 1/2 ounce buzz bait around some shallow, heavy cover, sometimes I'll use that on a little bit limber rod, simply because no stretch. But really, the only reason you ever want to use braid, guys, is for the power. The braid will cost you bites as far as getting the strikes. It's not going to get you any more strikes. It's not going to allow you to work your bait more efficiently. It's simply designed to power the fish out of an area that has heavy cover in it. That's its only purpose. So don't use straight braided line on any lure or any lure category unless you just need that raw power to get the fish out of, because you think you're going to lose it. Because I don't care if you're pitching and flipping, I don't care if you're casting, whatever, you're not going to get the bites with braid. The fish can see it. It's too visible for that. I don't care if you color it black or whatever, it still sticks out a little bit. So that will help you guys. I promise you, if you just sort of go by those guidelines, it'll help you catch more fish. It'll help you land them more. And I think you guys will be happy with it. You going to say bye to everybody?
Bye, gummies.
Okay, we'll see you guys later.